Respond yes.
Call is now being recorded.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the last class we spoke about uh, how to do data analysis using Excel data analysis tool, and we got some results. Okay. So we will continue from there, that point. So that this is the data we had, and we inserted this data in Excel, and then we did apply data analysis, multiple regression, and we got results. Okay, we got some results. Now, uh, now there are there in this example we will continue. There we have in this case we have x variable and y variable, that is marks and hours studied. Okay, hours studied. So one is the dependent variable and another is the independent variable. So independent variable is denoted by x, and please remember that the dependent variable is denoted by y. There are in this case only one independent variable which is affecting the dependent variable. So which is, this is called simple linear regression. Simple linear regression is where only one independent variable is there in the study. Whereas in case of multiple regression, we have many independent variables, and we are trying to find out the effect of these independent variables on dependent variable, and we'll also find out how much of the variation in the dependent variable is explained by the independent variables. Okay. Now, this is very important data. This data is very important. Now, whenever you apply regression, whenever you apply regression, you will get a data like this, and this data is very important. This data is very important. So you get data like this, like this is one particular output you get. This is the second output you get, and this is the third output you get, and this is the fourth output you get. So now this output you have to understand, you have to interpret, and you have to have an analysis, like what is the interpretation from this particular data. Okay, now first this I will just speak for a while. This and this I will speak. This and this I will speak. Okay, and we will understand it. So here, this 90%, this 0.90 means what? Means what? It's very important. It should be 0.90 is nothing but means what? The answer is this is multiply with this with 100. Multiply this with 100 and you will get 90. And whenever you are multiplying anything with 100, you will get percentage, 90 percentage. So here the answer is 90 percentage. Now what is this 90 percentage? Very important. This is the first result I am explaining what the meaning of this particular 90%. See, I am telling you this regression analysis you will be using in the future and in your job software world, and in n number of instances you are going to use. So interpretation part is very important. That's the reason why I'm taking up so many classes to explain this particular regression analysis and its output. So first is multiple R. If you look multiple R, it is giving you 0.9. So I just told you to multiply this 0.9 with 100, 90 percentage you got. So 90% means what? The single independent variable, which was a number of hours studied, the single independent variable, which is number of hours studied, is explaining the dependent variable, which is marks 90%. The variation in the dependent variable is explained 90% by the independent variable. So if the model is if the this particular figure is something like 0.5 and above, 0.5 and above, then it's a very good model. We call it. We call it as a very good model because 50% of the dependent variable is explained by the in this case only one independent variable I have taken. So 50% of the dependent variable is explained by the independent variable. So the dependent variable, any variation is there, this is explained by the independent variable, and in this case we got the answer 90%. So 90% means what? This model is 90% accurate, or 90% of the variation is explained by this particular model, or the 90% of variation in the dependent variable is explained by a single independent variable, which is number of hours studied. So number of hours studied is explaining the dependent variable 90%. So this is the interpretation we have. Now another important thing I will tell you. Just a moment, I will wipe out. Another one is R square. Now, if you look at the result R square here, it is nothing but the multiple R is there, which is 90%, that is 0.9. Just multiply 0.9 into 0.9, you will get 81%. 81%. So this is the real meaning of it. This is the real meaning of the model. The model is explaining 81% of the dependent variable, variation in the dependent variable. So this is a very good model. Only a single independent variable is explaining the dependent variable. So where can we use this kind of models? I will give you some examples. Where can you use this kind of models? If the model is below 50%, then I will say that you can discard this model. You can just ignore this model. The dependent variable is not explained by the independent variable or set of independent variables. Now, so what I mean to say is this should be very high. This 2 should be very high. If this is very high, then whatever independent variables which you have taken for study are considered to be very, very good. And they are explaining, these are having the explanatory power of explaining the dependent variable. So where can we use this kind of things? For example, in stock market. In stock market, for example, if dividend per share is one independent variable, okay, this is one independent variable, and the dependent variable is the market price, because we assume that if the company pays lot of dividend, the company's market price will increase. So if you have 10 years data, and then you can have a model y is equal to a plus bx. This is a simple linear regression. So y is equal to a plus bx I will take. So I can add one more independent variable, earnings per share. So earnings per share and dividend per share are independent variables. If earnings per share is good, the market price will increase. If the dividend per share is also very good, then the market price will increase. So what I did in the second case, I have taken independent variable, which is per share. Two independent variables, dividend per share and earnings per share, which is going to explain me how much of the variation in the market price per share is explained by these two variables. So the equation becomes y is equal to a plus b1 x1. What is x1 here? X1 is dividend per share. Dividend per share. Now plus b2 x2. What is x2? Another independent variable, which is earnings per share. So this is a single independent variable. This is here two independent variables. So this is a single simple linear regression. This is a multiple linear regression. So this is the way you can work. Data can be collected. Data can be kept there in Excel, and then use the Excel data analysis tool, and you will get to have an equation y is equal to a plus b1. Y is equal to a plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2 plus b3 x3, so on and so forth. So this is the way you can do it. Another example is I will add one more independent variable. So in this case, one more independent variable I will add and see how will the equation look like. So market price per share is the dependent variable. So previously I took dividend per share now and added to this one another independent variable, earnings per share. Now I am using one more dependent variable, independent variable, one more independent variable, which is a debt equity ratio. Debt equity ratio. Okay. So another independent variable, if I am adding, and then experimenting on what is going to happen and what is the equation that is formed. So we will find out how much of the variation in this is explained by this. So here this is x1, this is x2, and this is x3, and this is y. So you get an equation y is equal to a plus b1 x1 plus b2 x2 plus b3 x3 plus error term. We will understand what is error term plus error term. Now, this is another independent variable I have added. So you can add so many independent variables, and then all these independent variables you put it in a Excel and then run a regression, and you will get an output like this. So, in the first case, when you used only this one, you got 81%. For example, when you used earnings per share plus dividend per share, you got 82%. And you used another independent variable, debt equity ratio, it gave 85%. So the more if you keep on increasing the independent variables, and the explanatory power of this independent variable is increasing, and the model is becoming more stronger, or explaining the dependent variable, then you keep on increasing it. So this is the way you have to interpret, like this particular 81% is the strength of the model. What is the how much of the variance in the dependent variable is explained by the independent variable. So this is the fundamental thing. So once you have run a regression, first and foremost you have to look at these two figures, and in particular you have to look at this figure, which is 81.81 into 100 is equal to 81%. So more the percentage is more the accuracy of the model. For another way I will tell you how to remember this. Okay, just a moment. I am wiping out. I am erasing. Now, for example, if you are able to predict future, if you are able to predict the future more accurately, then it's a very good model, we call it. More accurately, if you are able to predict accurately. So what is the accuracy? 100% accurately you are predicting, 90%, 80%, and so another example is 70% or 60%. Which model is very good? This is only able to predict only 60%, means another 40% is not predicted, means there is an error to the extent of 60%. Or in this another case is it is able to predict 70%, means 70% accurate, but 30% it is not able to. 30% of the variance in the dependent variable is not explained. So this is the error. This one is another example. 80% means able to predict 80%, but 20% it is not explaining. So the error term is 20%. Third one is 90% is accuracy, or 90% is the strength of the model. 10% it is not able to predict, or there is an error. So error is still there. Here error is 40, 30, 20, 10, and here 0. So either this should be high or this should be low. Means what? Percentage prediction should be high or error term should be low. Error जो है prediction में वो कम होना चाहिए. Error should be low. Now this is the first part of the interpretation. Hope you have understood it. So more the percentage, more accurate is the model, or the strength of the model is very strong, we call it in our prediction. This is a prediction model. Now look at the other prediction, other outputs. We'll look at the other outputs and understand one by one. We'll understand the other outputs. Now let's look at this one. And we'll look at this. After this, we'll find out these. Very, very important. These two I am going to explain. Put your heart and soul to the explanation what I am giving. Okay. Before that, I will just show you the data. This was the data. The data was 4, 5. If you look at the data, the data was 4, 5, 6, 5, 8, something like that. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 8, something like that. I will write here 4, 5, 6, 8, something like that. Okay. Now, I told you the formula or the equation is y, regression equation in this case is y is equal to a plus bx. So y here is equal to a. A is nothing but the intercept. The intercept, which is constant, we call it. This is 3.39. I will consider rounding off 3.39 plus bx. Bx is b is the coefficient of x, which is 0.37, and x we can plug in some figures. So this is the model. So the model is this one is the model. Now, whether this model are significant or not, we will understand whether this model is significant or not. See, I am telling you a very important word here, significant. Significant means what? Whether it is by using hypothesis and by using statistical tool, whether this particular variable, which is marks, number of hours studied, is significant in predicting the marks, or significant in predicting the output variable, that is our marks or not. So if it is not significant, we will ignore it. If it is significant, we will keep it in the model, and we will have an equation like this. Now, how do I find out the significance of this independent variable, or the value of x? So you got the value of x as 0.372, and go to this figure, which is p value. Now 0.000382. Now, how do you interpret this? How do you understand this? How do you decipher this? How do you what do you take out of this 0.00387? So I'm explaining it. Please look and please understand and listen to me very carefully. Now, this is nothing but just multiply this figure, that is 0.0000382 into 100. So if I do multiply this one, I will get I will get 0.0 something like that. Like I will get 0.03 something like that. Okay, means what? Now, if it is here, this would have been like 0.07. If I multiply this with 100, it is 7%, because 7 divided by 100 into 100 is equal to 7. So 7 is nothing but 7%, because I multiplied it by 100. So when I am multiplying 0.00382 into 100, then I will get something called as percentage terms, 0.003%. Now this is very important. So multiply this one with 100 first and foremost. After that, you will get a figure, and this figure is 0.003%. Now, what does it mean? This means that the probability that the null hypothesis is true is only 0.03%. Is only 0.03%. Now, what is this null hypothesis? What do you mean by alternative hypothesis? All this stuff you are going to get you have to get an understanding about that. I will explain this very null hypothesis and null and alternative hypothesis. Null and alternative hypothesis I am explaining. Please listen to carefully, because if I want to understand the significance of this independent variable with the help of p-value, we have to understand null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Now, null hypothesis, if you look at the word null hypothesis, it is nothing but nil or zero or no, we can call it. Understood? So null hypothesis is the first one, and the second one is null ka opposite hai alternate hypothesis. So null is nothing but, in our layman language, we call it as nil hypothesis. Nil, no, or zero or not, we call it. Now, what does it mean? It means that there is no relationship. It means that there is no relationship between the no. relationship between the dependent variable and the independent variable, or the dependent variable will not be able to explain the independent variable. Okay, that is the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is the null hypothesis is that the independent variable will not be able to explain the dependent variable, the variation in the dependent variable. Now, what about the alternate hypothesis? The alternate hypothesis is opposite of null hypothesis, which states that the dependent variable, the independent variable, sorry, will be able to explain the dependent variable. Will explain the variation in the. Will be able to explain the variation in the dependent dependent variable. Number one. This is number one. This is number two. Number three. Another way of understanding is under the model. The model is not significant. The model doesn't predict the model. What you have developed will not predict the dependent variable. Will not predict the dependent variable. This is the alternate null hypothesis. The alternate hypothesis is the model will predict the dependent variable. So in our case, we are talking about this one. So we are more concerned about whether the independent variable will explain the dependent variable or not. Whether the dependent variable is explained by the independent variable or not. So our alternative null hypothesis states that no, it doesn't explain the independent variable which you considered for our study, which is the number of hours you have worked, will not explain the marks what you are getting from the examination. So the independent variable will not explain. That is the null hypothesis, because null is always negative. It is telling that no, there is no explanation. No, the independent variable will not explain the dependent variable. Number one. Number two, alternative. Alternative is that yes, the independent variable, which is the number of hours studied, will explain the variation in the dependent variable, which is marks secured. So they are contradicting to each other. And then now when they are contradicting to each other, what you have to do? We have to experiment it. We have to use statistical tool to prove it. For example, now some more examples I will tell to explain this null hypothesis. For example, COVID is there today. Today, everybody is afraid and they are panic about COVID. What will happen to our economy, to our lives and all that stuff. So somebody has found out a medicine for it. Assuming that tomorrow or this moment there is a medicine. The medicine is being invented and this is a vaccine. Now, what is the null hypothesis? This medicine is not going to affect the COVID. It's not going to cure the COVID. This is the null hypothesis. Alternatively, we can state that yes, this particular medicine or vaccine is going to cure COVID, or we can get rid of COVID or coronavirus by using this particular medicine. So this is null hypothesis and this is alternative hypothesis. Null mein no aana chahiye. Okay, not majority of the times, but in regression, in a t-test, in correlation, we use no as null. Now assuming that there are 100 people who are having corona and this medicine is administered on these people who are infected with corona. So this medicine is being given to them. They have used them, and now we are seeing what is happening, whether this particular medicine is effective or not. So for this reason, we have administered, and after 10 days, we have found the results. After 10 days, we have found the results. The results are only 100 people have been cured and 0 people have died. This is one particular case example. Number 2, 99 people were cured and 1 person died. Number 3, 98 people got cured and 2 people died. Number 4, 97 people got cured and only 3 people died. Number 5, 96 people got cured and 4 people got infection and they died. Number 6, 95% people got they got okay, and 5 people died. Number 7, 60 people got infected and they died by consuming, and only 40% of the people were safe. Now means, so examples I have given. So now in order to find out the efficacy or the efficiency of this particular medicine in fighting coronavirus, we have to take a cutoff, and in medicine we take cutoff of only 1% or 1% to 99%. Means what? If this particular medicine can cure 99% of the cases, and 1% if is okay, if it is able to cure 99%, this medicine is okay. Whereas if this is the case, like 60 people are dying and 40 people are getting cured, means out of 1 lakh who have consumed this particular medicine, 60,000 are going to die and 40,000 are going to survive. This is not a good medicine. So now come back to our original question. The question is whether this medicine is effective or not. We should have a degree of confidence with which I can sell, with which I can tell, yes, this medicine is very good. This degree of confidence is called as the level of significance. Okay, this is very important. So we'll get back again. So 100 people, 0 people died, 99 people cured, 1% died, 98 people cured, 2 people died. It's okay. But if 60 people died, cured, and 40 people died, it's not good. So we will have a cutoff, and that cutoff is called as, we'll have a cutoff which is called as, in our social sciences, it's 5% is accepted. 5% is accepted. Means what? Here, in case of our social sciences, if this is the case, 95% of the people got cured and 5% of the people died. Means what? Now, this is what is accepted here. Means what? Now come to the very important point. Now, this particular, as if it is the case like this, 4% died and 96%, and the cutoff is 5% acceptable. So what is this? Yes, sir, this is only 4% within our limits. So the probability, what is 5%? That I don't want, this particular medicine is not effective. When is it not effective? If it is more than 5% of the people are dying, then it is not effective. If more than 5% people are dying, it is not effective. But in this case, only how many people are dying? Only 4% is dying. 95% are survived, or 96% is survived. So null is rejected. Now, what do you mean by null is rejected? The null, what is the null hypothesis? Null hypothesis is that this particular medicine is not effective. So null is rejected. What is that null? Null is rejected means the null states that this particular medicine is not effective, is rejected. So alternative is going to be accepted. What is that alternative? Yes, this particular medicine has effect on the coronavirus. So this is, if this is 5%. If it is, if you get an answer like 96%, 97%, 98%, okay. And if it is within 5%, it's okay. So hope you have understood whatever I try to explain. If I will give you one more explanation, with this you will understand, because the significant levels has to be understood properly by everybody. Otherwise, not to understand it. Significance level have to be understood. So I will just wipe out. Now, another example I will give you. For example, you gave advertisement and you found the effect of sales. You gave an advertisement and you wanted to find out the sales effect, whether this advertisement is having that effect of influencing positively the sales or not. Okay, and it is found that 99% of the time, whenever you are giving advertisement, your sales is increasing. Means 99.95% or 99% or 98% of the times the advertisement is affecting the sales positively. Now, this is the first part of my explanation. The second part, what was the null hypothesis? The null hypothesis was no effect of no effect of add add on sales, add on sales. What was the alternative hypothesis? The alternative hypothesis was there is a effect, there is an effect of advertisement on sales. So where are we going to take now? Let's go back to our result. Our result is 99% is okay. So 99% is means what? The advertisement is having a impact on the sales. So we are going to have a alignment with the alternative hypothesis. What is our alternative hypothesis? The alternative hypothesis is 99%. Means what? Only 1% chance of the null being accepted, whereas 99% chances are there that the alternative hypothesis is going to be accepted. So the cutoff is 5%. If the null hypothesis, if the result is within 5%, then remember that null is rejected and alternative is accepted. Whereas if the significance level or the p value is more than 5%, then null is accepted and the alternative is rejected. So I have put a lot of effort in making you understand the the meaning of null hypothesis, the meaning of alternative hypothesis, and the probability attached in accepting or rejecting the null and the alternative hypothesis. Okay. Now let's come back to our this point of discussion. This, and this. Okay. Now here when I calculate, I told you to multiply this with 100, 0.000382 into 100. You will get percentage, which is 0.0382 percentage. Means what? This is within 5 percentage. Means this is, if I minus this one from 100 minus 0.0382, you will get 99.618. Means that the chances of null hypothesis being accepted is only 0.03 percentage, whereas the probability of accepting the alternate hypothesis is 99.68 percentage. I told you this should be more than 5 percentage, but this is within our limits of 5 percentage. So the null is rejected and the alternative is accepted, because alternate means what? This particular independent variable is going to affect the dependent variable, and the degree of confidence with which I am telling you is 99.61 percentage, or null hypothesis can be only true to the extent of only 0.03 percentage or 0.04 percentage, and I told you the cutoff is 5 percentage. So it is less than this one, and hence null is rejected, and hence null is rejected. So I am just now going to give you the thumb rule. Just give you, I am sharing with you the thumb rule of accepting the null hypothesis and rejecting the null hypothesis. The thumb rule is if p value is greater than 5 percentage, accept null hypothesis. Accept null hypothesis. Or we have failed to reject the null hypothesis. This is also called as fail to reject the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis. Null hypothesis. Now, if the p value is less than 5 percentage, null is rejected. Null is rejected because the chances of null is only 3% or below 5%. So null is rejected and alternative is accepted. So with this, I hope you have understood the significance level, the p value. What is this p value? You understood. And now we'll find out whether this should be accepted or not. Now, as this is only 0.03 percentage, so null is rejected. Null is rejected means what? The influence of this particular variable on the dependent variable is there, because we thought it was not there and we rejected it, and hence The alternative is yes, there is an effect of this particular x variable on the independent variable, and then it is a 99.7%, 99.97 percentage, and hence the null is rejected and the alternative is accepted. Hope you have understood this particular point. So you understood this, you have understood this, you have understood this, and you have understood this. Now we'll come and understand this particular point, this particular thing, predicted y. So let's understand what do you mean by predicted y. Okay, I will give an understanding about what is predicted y. What do you mean by predicted y? 4, 5, 6, 5, 8, 7. Just remember this. 4, 5, 6, 8, 7. 4, 5, 6, 8, 7. 4, 5, 6, 8, 7. Okay. And what was the x? What was x? X is equal to 1, 3, 5, 7. X is equal to 1, 3. Sorry. Just a moment. So 4, 5, 6, 5. 4, 5, 6, 5, 8. 4, 5, 6, 5, 8 are the values of this one. 4, 5, 6, 5, 8. Okay. These are the values. Now, I have, by using regression, an equation called as y is equal to a plus bx. Okay. Okay. Hope you understood it. We have founded a equation by running a regression model in data analysis. Y is equal to a plus bx. Okay. Now what I did, I just plugged in these values. Y is equal to 3.3887 plus b is equal to 0.37, and the first value of x, which is 1. So I got this answer. I got this answer. I got this answer. I will explain once again. Just pay attention. Very important, because please remember, regression is a prediction model. If you don't understand this, and if you don't understand this, and if you don't understand residuals, it's very difficult to understand it. Okay. Hope you are clear. Okay. Please, first and foremost, multiple regression or regression is a prediction tool. Is a prediction tool. Is a prediction tool. Is a prediction tool. Now, what do you mean by prediction tool? I will give you a small example. With this, you will understand it. With this, you will understand it. Okay. Now, what I did, I spent some amount on advertisement, and I found out what is the effect on sales. So when I spent 100 crores, my sales was 1500 crores. When I spent 150 crores, my sales increased to 2200 crores. Then again in the next year, I increased the advertisement to 180. Now the sales has become 3000 crores. Now I'm writing here 190 crores in the fourth year, and the sales became 4100 crores. So if I plot this one on a graph where this is x-axis and this is y-axis, and this is ad and this is sales. So when the ad was this much, the advertisement was this much, my sales was this much. When the ad increased to this much, my sales increased to this much, and so on and so forth. So it is something like this. So this is a uptrend. There is a uptrend. Uptrend means what? It is increasing. When sales is increasing, advertisement is increasing, sales also is increasing. Now we can have a regression equation for this particular model. For this particular on this particular data, I can run regression and find out an equation. I can find out an equation. So what if I use an equation? You will get an equation like y is equal to a plus bx. Y is equal to a plus bx. So when I am using this equation and plugging in the values of x with the help of a values and b values, I will come to know the predicted value of y. I will come to know the predicted value of y. That is what is the meaning of the word predicted value of y and the residual. For example, just pay attention, very important thing. For example, say advertisement and sales. Advertisement and sales. When I gave 100, this was 1000. When I gave advertisement of 200, this was 1800. and when I gave 300, the advertisement was 300 and the sales was 2500. And when I gave advertisement expenditure, when I spent on advertisement 400 crores, this became 3000. Now I told you in the previous class that this data you can plug in, you can insert in Excel sheet, you can run a regression, and you will get an equation something like this: y is equal to a plus bx. Now here y is equal to sales, a is equal to constant, b is equal to coefficient of x, and x is nothing but the advertisement. I will talk about a coefficient of x, that is b, in the next slide. I am going to speak. Just pay attention. So if I find out, there is an equation like this. If the equation is a is equal to something like 10, okay, I'm not run a model. I'm just taking some example and tentative new numbers I'm taking. A is equal to 10, b is equal to something like 100. Example I'm taking, okay, and then I plug these values in this one, and I find the value of y. So here I will get some values of y here when I use this equation. So I will get something like 1110. I will get 1789, or here I will get y predicted as 2400, and y predicted for this case is some 2800. Now look at these figures and these figures. My actual value of sales is 4000, but this particular equation has found out that the value of sales should have been 1010 rupees, 1010 crores, sorry. This particular sales of the next year, second year, is in actual 1800. But when I plug these values of x, a and b into the equation, which is y is equal to a plus bx, I got 1789 as the answer. Means what? This was the actual sales and this is the predicted sales. Now in the third year, when I uh, spent 300 crores, my actual sales, what I witnessed was 2500 crores. But when I used this equation and plugged in the values of a, b and x, I got 2400. And in the same case, in the last case, the actual sales for the fourth year, when I spent 400 crores on sales on advertisement, my sales was 3000 crores. But when I use the equation y is equal to a plus bx, and I use this constant, this coefficient, and this value of 400, I got this as 2800. So this is called as y predicted. This particular column, or the one which I am highlighting, is called as y predicted. So prediction should be very, very high, very near to the actual. Prediction should be near to the actual. That is what I mean to say. So for example, Siddesh wrote an exam. 1, 2, 3, 4 students wrote the examination of decision science, and one got 100 out of 100, another got 80, another got 70 marks, and fourth got 60 marks. Now, soon after the examination, these are the actual marks. Soon after the examination, everybody started discussing how the paper was, whether the paper was tough or easy, and they also told, "Sir, I am going to," and they just predicted, "I may get 90 marks." This girl predicted that she will get 75 marks. This girl predicted that she will get 35 marks, and this girl or this boy has predicted 70 marks. Look at this. These were the actuals. And these were the prediction. Now my question to is whether this should be whether when the model is a strong model, or the model is explaining the dependent variable, then the prediction should be less or more. Obviously the actual and the predicted should be almost near. So in the first case, it's a actual was 100 but the predicted was 90. In the second case, actual was 80, predicted was 75. In the third case, actual was 70 and the predicted was, for example, 65. In the third case, the actual was 60 and the predicted was 70. So almost 90% accuracy is there if I'm doing it. On the contrarian, something is like this. Exam was there, decision science. Prem sir conducted examination for some X number of students, and the marks were like this. Actual marks were 100 में से 90, 80, 70 and something like 70. Now the prediction, they predicted after the examination, they came out of the examination, they told that the paper was very difficult, neither the questions were that easy to answer, and they told that they are going to fail, like 35 they are going to get. This girl is told that she will get 20 marks, this boy told she will get 40 marks, he will get 40 marks, and this girl told she will get 30 marks. So this was the predicted. And how much was the actual? There's a huge difference between the predicted model prediction and the model and the actual model. So there is a huge difference. So here the difference is 65, here it is 60, here it is 30, here it is 20. But look at this case, almost whatever are the marks what they thought was similar, almost similar, plus or minus 5% variation. But in this case, almost there is a huge variation. So this is not a good prediction model, whereas this is a very good prediction model because the actual and the prediction model, predicted model marks are almost same. So hope you have understood this particular point, which is predicted y. So just go to the previous slide, 4, 5, 6, 5, 8. So I will write here 4, 5, 6, 5, 8. 4, 5, 6, 5, and 8. So this was the actual number of marks. This was the actual number of marks. The actual number of marks from the given data were 4, 5, 6, 5, 8. Now this was the model. Y is equal to a plus bx, and y is equal to a. A is 3.39. I have rounded to 2 digits plus b. B is 0.372, and then number of hours I have substituted, and then I got the answer for every observation. First observation, second observation, third. So if you look carefully, if you look carefully, if you look carefully, what was the predicted marks? The predicted marks were 3.76, and what was the actual marks? 4. In the second case, the predicted marks were 4.5 and the actual marks were 5. In the third case, the predicted marks were 5.25 and the actual marks were 6. So they are almost nearer. They are almost nearer. 4, 5, 6, and 7. So look at this. How much was the prediction? 3.76. But actually is how much? 4. And then the difference, which is called as residual or error, is only 0.23 in the first observation. In the second observation, the actual marks were 5. The actual marks were 5, but the prediction, because of the predicted equation y is equal to bx, y is equal to a plus bx, we got 4.5. So the difference or the error which was not able to predict was only 0.5. So 90% it has been able to predict. In the third case, the actual mark for 6 marks and the number of marks which the model predicted was 5.25, and it is 0.75, which is the error, or which is, this is the predicted, this is the unpredicted, or the error we call it, or the error. So ये जो है ये ज्यादा होना चाहिए. This should be, prediction should be more, and the residual should be less. The residual should be less, or the error should be less, because the error speaks about the prediction model. More the error, then the model is not strong, means they are not able to determine the influence of this particular variable, the independent variable, on the dependent variable. So the crux of my discussion is the error should be less, error should be less, and the prediction should be predicted value should be equal to, should be almost near to the actual, almost near to the actual value. If these are the conditions, then the model is said to be very good model. The model is said to be a very good model. So today I told about this figure, I talked about this figure, I talked about this figure in the last class also, and today also I talked about this figure, and I talked about this figure, and I talked about all these figures. In the next class, when we are joining on next Wednesday, if I am correct, then I am going to explain some more outputs which we get naturally from regression when you are applying regression on SPSS or Excel sheet. With this, I will stop, and I am just wait for a moment. I am going to stop the. Uh, I'm just going to stop the recording, and if you have any doubts, you can ask me.